Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. This is going to be a public answer to a private question, and I hope you're okay with that. I trust that you're okay with that because it's a question that I had myself as well. And it was in response to conversation and a communication that I had with a private client. And I don't say that you have to be a follower of Jesus or believer in Jesus to work with me. That's absolutely not a thing because it's not up to me. It really is not up to me. But the truth of what I've come to realize is that in all the ways that I was looking for clarity, I was looking for certainty in my life, I was led to the one who provides, the creator of clarity, the creator of certainty, and the one who we can be certain in, and the one who we can be clear in that it is clear that we are fully loved, that there's nothing that we've done or anything that's been done to us that can separate us from his love. And the question was about, is it possibility? Is it possible that at times in my life I prayed and I didn't see or receive anything? So that's what I want to begin with first, because I used to think that prayers went unanswered. And then I heard the country song, sometimes I thank God for unanswered prayers. And I realized that there actually are not ever answered prayers. There aren't. What there is us not liking the answer. It's not that he doesn't answer, it's that we don't like the answer. And so we think, well, because I didn't get the answer the way that I wanted to get the answer, I'm going to say that he didn't answer. I'm going to move this. It's like super tickly. So that is actually what's happening and what's occurring. Pardon me while I adjust this thing. That's better. We're less wobbly. He's never not answering. We're not liking the answer. That's actually what's happening. And so we're praying for a specific thing, and we're praying for the thing to be received in the way that we want to receive it. And we're leaving out the way he sees it, the way he says, my ways are higher, my ways are better. Every prayer is answered. I hear every prayer, I answer every prayer. And I've taught my daughter this. My daughter knows this as well. God does answer every prayer. He answers it as either yes, he answers it as no, or he answers it as wait. Two of those we don't really like, right? We like when he says yes, but we don't like when he says yes and there's a waiting and then we get the thing later. We like when he says yes and it's answered now. We like when there's clarity that is found immediately because we like things automatically because we live in the world and we're called to be in the world, but not of it, but we do live in it as human. So we want it. We want it now. We want it Amazon overnight. We don't want to pay shipping. We want it included. We want it free. We want it delivered now, right? Look at Uber Eats. We're like, I'm hungry. I want to click, order a thing, and I want it here now. Prayer doesn't work like Uber Eats works. That's a thing of the world. And prayer is not of the world, it's beyond the world. It's a tapping into the supernatural world and to what is available to us and for us in the supernatural, not just in our own natural. And I think a lot of this is, where faith and belief and trust comes in, that we surrender to him, and we're not just living and praying in a way that we are asking or requesting to get a thing in a certain or particular way. And that's the way a lot of us view it. And when we view it that way, we question our ways, which is good. We question our motives, we question our desires, and sometimes we're thinking, ah, Lord, I think you want a fire. Like I just feel like this fire. I feel like this burning. We feel this burning inside. Well, it's really a burning desire to get to know him more. That's really what it's about. That's really the truth of it. And we know there's access to it through prayer. That prayer is one of the most powerful things we can do. Prayer is the most powerful weapon we can use, right? The most powerful weapon is our tongue. Life and death in the power of the tongue. So it is powerful what we're praying for. But it's not just what we're praying for, it's in the way that we're praying for it. Are we surrendering it to him and saying, Lord, if it's not this way that I receive this thing, let it be a greater way. Let it be a way that is a representation of you and your truth. And if it is no, let that no be protection. Let that no be correction. Let that no be redirection. If it is wait, I trust that in the waiting, you're creating, right? Or are we seeing, are we allowing ourselves to see what he is trying to reveal and seeing that He is showing us there's a better way and a different way, and to let go of the need for it to be our way and the way that we say, right? God's not a genie in a bottle. He's not Aladdin. He's not a Disney movie. But a lot of us approach him as if it is, as if we get three wishes. You better be careful what you wish for. Well, you don't really have to be careful what you pray for. Just know that he does answer every prayer, and a lot of the answers are no. And they're no because they have something better for you. Like, let's use an example. So say that my daughter wants to have something really good for her. I have her favorite dessert prepared for her. And because I love her, I want her to be healthy. And she's saying, right, really sometimes prayer is a request, sometimes prayer is gratitude. But let's just say that we're taking the approach today that prayer is a request, something that we're asking for to receive for a particular way or certain thing to be changed. And we're just praying. We're praying for this thing. We're praying for this thing. We're praying for this thing that it becomes this thing and we can see it. We can envision it. We can imagine it. We can smell it. We can almost taste it. We feel like we can almost touch it. If it would just become this way, the certain particular thing, and God will answer our prayer. Um, let's say that I have a beautiful surprise for my daughter. We're going to go out to her favorite, this new, really, really super cool dessert place where they like light the freaking dessert on fire. And it's like unlike anything she's ever seen. And she says, Mom, can I have a cookie? I'm like, oh, we made cookies a couple days ago. We actually didn't wrap them. So they kind of got hard and stale, and you haven't eaten dinner yet. And because I love you, I care about you, and I want you to be healthy and I want you to be well, which is what God wants for us. I'm going to ask you to wait when you ask if you can have cookie. That's your prayer, right? It's a request. Can I have a cookie? I'm like, no. Why? And in my mind, I'm like, because I have something far better for you and far greater for you. And if you eat the stale, yucky cookie now, you're not going to say it's yucky or gross or stale because you get it now. And so your answer to the prayer is yes, because you get to get it now. And I'm thinking, just wait, right? There is no delay, but you're going to call it delay because it feels like waiting and you're frustrated by the waiting. You want what you want now. And a lot of us live in the I want what I want now. But I've got something better for you. But I want you, because I love you, to be healthy. And so let's eat dinner first, and then I have a surprise for you. And it's like, well, what is it? Right? But I haven't said any of this. And that's oftentimes what it is with God. I have something better for you, but I haven't yet revealed it to you. And you're praying for this thing. Your request is for this thing. Can I have a cookie? And if I say yes to that, you're not even going to want the other stuff because you're going to be like, oh, I'm full. I don't want that. And you know that that would be more fun, more exciting, more thrilling, more better. More better is that it would be so much better and so much greater. But I haven't told you about it yet. I haven't revealed it to you yet, but I know it's coming. And yes, there's a waiting for it. But your prayer request is, can I have this cookie now? And if I say no, you get angry because you didn't get it your way. But I have a better way. I have a different way. I have a more fun, thrilling, exciting way. Just trust me. Just trust me that this is for your best interest, that this is for your goodness. And a lot of times that's what God is saying to us is just trust me. Trust me in the waiting. A lot of us have a really hard time with the waiting because we're impulsive. We want it now. We live in a society that says you can have it now. You can Burger King have it your way. And you don't even need to leave. You don't even need to get up. People will just bring it to you. They'll deliver it to you. It's just like, click of a button, like do, I get this thing. And I think a lot of times we project that onto prayer. A lot of times we say, I want to get this thing in a certain way, and I don't want it today. I want it now. And sometimes God says no. And he has no because he has something better for us. Or sometimes he says, wait. And we're like, tired of waiting, tired of waiting. He didn't hear me. He's not answering my prayer. He must not love me. And it's not that. And so understanding that it is about that. There are not times in your life where you didn't pray and receive an answer. So the question was, is it possible that the times in my life I prayed or I didn't receive anything? You always receive something. You always receive an answer. Sometimes that we don't like the answer that we receive. And so we project that not likingness into frustration, into anger, into, he's not listening, onto the thing. Or was I simply asking for the wrong things? The truth is, you can't ask for the wrong things. God knows the desire of our hearts. He knows that we desire to know how loved we are, how supported we are, how cared for we are, how comforted we are, how connected we are. But He desires for us to experience that through a personal relationship with him. And a lot of us, when we feel like that's far off, that's distant, we'll turn to things that seem less distant. We'll turn to things that immediately satisfy us. And those are where the habits, the patterns, the addictions, the thoughts come from. Well, he's not hearing me, so I'm going to go to this thing. And that's a tactic of the enemy. That's a misinformed belief. That's a skewed belief, is that I'm asking for the wrong things. There's power in translation through prayer, that you can be praying or asking for this thing, but God knows what you really need. And sometimes there's a waiting period to that. And sometimes there's a rejection or a perception of rejection, but rejection or a no or a redirection or it not going the way that you had prayed for in a certain time that you asked for is really God's protection. Because if you had gotten that, you wouldn't continue seeking or searching or waiting or hoping or praying or trusting or believing in the thing that is far that is far greater and far better than the thing that he has for you. So it's not that you're asking for the wrong things. Like, there's nothing wrong with that example we use, that my daughter's asking for dessert. It's natural. It's normal. We want things that are exciting. We want things that are fun. We want things that have us feel like we say like, oh yes, this is so amazing. This is so cool. I love you. Thank you. And be in a state of gratitude and thankfulness for, right, in that experience, it would be my daughter for me, for who I am and for what I've done, because I love her. But really, ultimately, it comes down to who God is and what he's done in and through his son. And so you can't really ask for the wrong things, but there is a way to ask for things. And when we're asking in the spirit, when we're asking that it's God's ways and his will, that we're trusting that they're higher, they're greater, they're better than our own that our own will and ways, that's what he's asking to take place. He's not going to force us to. So he allows us to ask for anything, knowing that we really can't ever ask for the wrong things. In the past, I can see, like, for example, in the past narcissistic relationships, I would ask God to freaking zap him. Like, you control the weather. Can't you just make a lightning bolt zap from the sky? I mean, I don't want this person to hurt. It would be kind of cool if they survived through that, because they'd be in a lot of pain, right? But what I was really saying was, I've survived through it and I was in a lot of pain. So can you do the same thing to them, right? Because if we're hurting, we want others to hurt. And God transformed me and said, look, I want you to pray for peace over this person, because you believing that they deserve peace means that you believe that you deserve peace, because they're in a lot of pain. And you know that you were in a lot of pain, and you know that you knew that. So pray for peace. So he transformed my prayer. Instead of asking for the ex-narcissist to be zapped down by a bolt of lightning that came from the heavens, he said, pray for peace. And this is what I began to realize when God says, pray for your enemies. We have an enemy inside of our own mind that will feed us lies. Lies like you can pray for the wrong thing, or that if you pray and you didn't receive it in the certain and particular way, that you're bad, or it's a possibility that God didn't hear your prayer because he doesn't love you and he doesn't care about you. And that is not true. And so he will use our prayers to reveal to us, regardless of how he answers us, regardless of how the answer is yes or no or wait, or that's really good. I'm going to make it even better, even greater, so that when the prayer is answered, you say, this was an answered prayer. Only God. This was not something that I could have created, that I made happen in my own strength, in my own will, in my own ways, that you can say this was a God thing. This truly was an answered prayer, that you can reflect back and you can look back on and go, only by God, only by the grace of God did that work out, because it seemed like everything was going wrong. And then suddenly all this stuff went right. It truly was an answered prayer. So he doesn't want us praying small things that we could go do on our own. We can pray those things. There's nothing wrong with praying those things. But when we do, he's like, oh, you're really going to limit me to that? I mean, I'm God. I mean, you could go do that. I've given you the strength, the power, the will, the ability to go do that. Stop praying about it and just go do it. Just go make it happen. Just go set the wheels in motion and create it and allow it to come in so you can receive it. He wants you to pray big, bold prayers, things that you know that when are answered, you're like, whoo, that was an answered prayer. That was a God thing. And a lot of times those require waiting. Those require the perception that he didn't hear you, that you haven't yet received. And you're going to hear those thoughts from the enemy that say, you were asking for the wrong thing. Yeah, because you prayed and you didn't receive. The enemy's going to use time against us to say, see, you've been praying for this thing for a week and it hasn't happened yet, and get you to try and believe that God hasn't heard you and that you've been praying for the wrong things. I wanted to begin by making that clear. And then they went on to share, I've prayed a lot during desperate times in my life. Duh. You're in a plane and the plane is going down, even the atheist is going to pray. It's a desperate time in your life. And a lot of us do pray in desperate times in our lives because that's when we throw our hands up. We've been trying to figure it out, trying to make it happen through our own will, our own ways, and our own strength. And prayer says, I can't do this today. I can't do it in this way anymore. Lord, Jesus, take the wheel. And so a lot of us pray in desperate times in our lives. And it is important, of course, to pray at those times during your life. And it's also important to pray in the times of your life that you feel like you're not desperate, and to continue to pray. The Bible says, pray without ceasing. Ceasing means to stop, to come to a halt. Pray without coming to a halt. Pray without coming to a stop. A lot of times my prayers, I'm like, dude, life is freaking good. I have so much to be grateful for. I have so much to be thankful for. It does not mean things are perfect. There's still a lot that I desire to be changed. And I trust that he is making a way and showing me the way and guiding and leading and directing my steps. But it's not just in the desperate times, because that's like someone showing up from time to time, right? I like the joke, CEOs, Christmas and Easter only. If someone that you wanted to have a relationship with and someone who desired to have a relationship with you only came around during desperate times, it would feel like they only want something from you. And it wouldn't feel like they want to be with you all the times. It would be like them coming into your lives and going, hey, kind of desperate right now. I'm kind of, low on funds and money is strapped for cash. Would you mind, would you mind helping me out? And being the one who always says yes, but feeling like, is that all you come around for? Is you don't actually care about having a relationship with me? You just want this thing from me every time you're desperate? Like, really? It takes desperation for you to come to me? I mean, I'm always going to help you, but I want to know you. I want to be there with you through. I want to know about the good times in your life too. I want to be there for those too. I don't just want you to come into my life when you're desperate and you need something from me. That doesn't feel good. But a lot of us choose to only go to God during those times. You can imagine, just like a human to human relationship, that would kind of suck and that would really hurt. And God's never offended. He understands us, but it's like, come on, are you coming to him all the time with the good things, with the bad things, with everything in between? Or are you only coming to him when you're desperate? And so that is part of the relationship that he wants with you, and the way that he wants to walk with you and be with you through everything. He wants to be your best friend. He wants to be your closest, most intimate relationship. And so prayer is a gateway to a relationship with him, because prayer is really a conversation. It's a two-way street. It's you speaking and him listening, and then him speaking and you listening. That's the key. That's part of us are like, oh yeah, I gotta listen. That is really, there's a foundation there that he wants you to step into, lean on, stand on, and trust in, and not just in the desperate times, but in all times, in all ways, always, give him thanks and rejoice, and know that he's using all things for good. He's turning all things to good, and you're not only turning to him when things are bad and forgetting about him when things are good. So I hope that helps clarify that and make sense. And I believe in something, but I'm not sure what. And I love this because it's God. It really is God. I'm not sure what. That's an indication of the level of trust. We project our human hurts and our human relationship and pain onto his name because it's a relational based. We think, I'm not sure what, but I know there's something. The something is God. There is only one God. There's only one true God. And a lot of us are looking for it or trying to avoid the pain that we've already experienced through other relationships, human relationships. And we're saying it's going to be the same with that relationship. And that's really what it means when people say, I believe in something, but I'm not sure what. God's not mad about that. He completely understands that because it's not about religion. It's not about an institution. It's about a relationship. And we have relational hurt. And He's the one that through the relationship with Him wants to heal that relational hurt, wants to transform that relational hurt through the relationship with His Son, through the understanding that He gets it. That's why He sent His Son Jesus to walk with us, to show us, to prove to us that He does get it, that He understands everything we've gone through. He understands suffering. He understands hurt. He understands torture. He understands pain. He understands temptation to go another way. And He sent His Son to live a perfect life for us because He knew that we couldn't. And He knew that we wouldn't even want to most of the time. We wouldn't want to strive to. We wouldn't want to try to. But a lot of us do because we're trying to move towards pleasure and avoid any more pain because that's the way that our mind has been programmed. That's the way that we're hardwired. And when we allow Him in, when we say, it is you that I believe in, I no longer call it something. I call it a God thing. I call it a holy thing. I call it a supernatural thing. And the most important thing to me is the relationship I have with Him. And is something that He allows the use of time to come in, to play a part in, to be involved in. He doesn't expect you to be a full-fledged Holy Bible thumper believer today in Jesus' name. He doesn't expect that. He's always with us, and He walks with us and through us, and He understands everything we've gone through because He went through it as well. And so when we're asking for that and we're just asking for a sign, it's funny because as I read the Bible, I'm like, oh, they asked for a sign, they asked for a sign, they asked for a sign. And there's so many passages and stories and scriptures in the Bible where humans who were in the Bible, that they did the same thing that we're doing. Well, just give me a sign. And then they literally received the sign. And they're like, yeah, that was too easy. Give me another sign. And God gave him another sign. And God's like, how many more do you want? Right. And He did that. And the Bible's full of stories like that because He understands that. So I just wanted you to understand this and hope that this not only helps the person that asked this question, but all of us who have asked this question. There is no improper way to pray. It is deciphered. It is decoded, if you will. And He knows our heart. He knows our desires. He knows what we need. And it's up to us to hand Him the thing and do it always and always, not just at desperate times. There's nothing wrong with just doing it during those times. But like that earlier example I used, He desires it all the time because it's about a relationship with Him. And praying really is just an open, honest conversation. He can take the anger. He can take the projection. I mean, there's nothing He hasn't had projected onto Him. And when you allow Him in, when you say, all right, God, you want to call this prayer, I'll call it prayer, but I'm just going to say it's me talking to you about this thing today. Help me listen. Help me listen. Help me hear from you. Help me see you, because that's what I'm asking for when I'm asking you for a sign to and through, just to know that you are there, just to know that you do care, just to know that you do love me, just to know that you are guiding me. And please help me with this thing. That's often the easiest prayer is help. Lord, help. And He will. When we open ourselves to ways of seeing how we are being helped, we open ourselves to ways of believing. So I hope this clarifies some things, and I hope it helps you understand some things more deeply. When you're ready to go internally and really connect to the unconscious beliefs that you have, and take them from ones that are hurting you to ones that are hindering you, I'd love to invite you into a connection to work together to transform those subconscious beliefs, as Scripture says, to be transformed by the renewing of the mind, not to be conformed by the things of the world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And that's what I love, love, love doing with people, the ways that I love working with people. There's also our monthly membership in, which you can step into, where we dive into these topics even further, even deeper. But until then, I hope this helps you. I love you. I'll see you soon. Bye for now.